Alexander-Arnold, it's running!
From doubter to believer.
Hello Reds fans out there, welcome to the LFC couch. This is the post-victory over Arsenal podcast. It's about time we did something to maybe just take a certain fan base back a peg or two and just make them remember where they are and who they are. And to do this tonight, I'm joined by our very own Aussie Robbo. James, how are you, sir?
Very good, Nick. Very good after an early morning and what is now a late night. How are you going?
Pretty much the same. Just had a fantastic gym session where I did see a couple of Liverpool jerseys in the gym, so that was nice to see. I wore my LFC couch shirt, which you can see there on the off-air video, and I've just come straight from the gym, so I'm repping LFC as well. And of course, we have our very own coach, Peter the Coach Kofinas. Good evening, sir. You're very giddy, I can see.
Well, let's just say I've got Scotch in my hand, by the way, Jamie.
Legend. Love it.
Just drinking in, enjoying the win. The day has been perfect for me. It's because you said a bit earlier we shut a few mouths, which is excellent because it's for some reason the loudest fan base there is, and not arguably, definitely the worst fan base. So the fact that we shoved it back down their fat throats is excellent.
There was a lot of talk that Arteta has sort of rejuvenated Arsenal, the Arsenal are back, and all those sorts of talks. And even with the chats I had with my Arsenal friends in the Statisfaction pod, they were also of the thought that, you know, going to Anfield was going to be tough, but Arteta's got a plan in place and he's going to do something and make it happen. And ultimately it didn't come to, because we won the game 3-1. We had goals from Sadio Mane. We had Robertson redeeming himself after a, shall we say, defensive mishap. And then, of course, Diogo Jota scoring on his Premier League debut for Liverpool late on. And there was contention on that, but I've seen the replay back about 10 different times. And I'm just like, nah, it's a clean goal for me. I guess you can say that it was a well-controlled game, and the starting lineup pretty much told you everything you needed to know. And with one key omission, and there was a bit of cloud, or rather a couple of players under the cloud, whether they would play in Alisson and Thiago, and it turned out that Thiago did miss out, and he apparently is out till the international break, but Alisson passed fit and saved our bacon plenty of time. So Alisson, Robertson, Van Dijk, Gomez, Trent Alexander-Arnold in the midfield, which was probably the question mark for Jurgen Klopp, Wijnaldum, Fabinho and Keita as they started, and Sadio Mane, Bobby Firmino and Mohamed Salah. So who wants to take this one up first? What do you think of the lineup? Did you think that Klopp did right by the midfielders we had available with Thiago not being in the squad?
Yeah, I think our pre-pod with George and myself actually spoke of a couple of lineups if Thiago was fit and if Gomez was fit, and I think one of them was spot on in terms of if Gomez was playing, Fabinho would move in. We did say Thiago would start, but we assumed that in case he didn't, we did say that it would be Gini and Keita as well, because Henderson obviously isn't 100% just yet. So there weren't any surprises, to be honest. I mean, the Thiago injury cloud or fitness cloud is not concerning at all. I think some people blew it out of proportion, but again, for me, there were no surprises. And to be fair, every single player on that pitch this morning, or the morning here in Australia anyway, were spot on and did their job perfectly.
James, is it fair to say that it was a very controlled game, despite what a certain Roy Keane may want to say after the post-match? We know that Klopp had a bit of beef with him, saying it was a sloppy performance. I mean, did you see anything sloppy in that match, in the wee hours?
Yeah, look, it was, I think that's Roy Keane just doing what he does best, and it's talking out his backside. But I got to be honest, I think the performance was very well controlled, apart from the obvious error from Andy Robertson, which is one of those things that unfortunately happens once in a very, very blue moon. I think the performance was very controlled. I think that, as Pete says, the lineup pretty much picks itself with the players that you have available. I think, listening to the Satisfaction pod, the Arsenal fans, they knew how big Anfield is and how tough Liverpool is, especially at this moment in time. To me, though, they're still sounding very confident that something could be got out of the game, and to be honest, as much as Arsenal might have looked a lot more composed than what they have over recent seasons, I don't think Liverpool got out of second gear, particularly in that first half, until we went 1-0 down, when we just stepped up a notch, and within 6 minutes we had 2 goals. I think that just shows you the quality of this side that we're dealing with today.
No, it was pretty much a second gear performance. I mean, we ended up on 66% possession. We had 21 shots, 8 on target. Arsenal could only get 4 and 3 on target, and one of them was a goal, one of them was a save from Alisson, a couple of other maybe could have been moments, but it was pretty much all us throughout that whole match. And I think it was interesting to hear Peter on the preview pod talk about the defense collapsing, which would allow space out on the wing, and Arsenal sort of pressed us, and you could see that there were always our wingers free, but there was not enough room to roam in, and you could just see Van Dijk just looking for Mane and Salah and just pinging diagonals non-stop.
So the way Arsenal press is they try to press narrow. So they get their front three, so to speak, they press inwards. So I'm doing my hands here, but they can't see my hands when they're listening. But their wingers will go in towards the centre backs to try and force a ball central where there would be where they set their trap. But see, clearly we've played them quite a bit over the past 3-4 months, and we kind of figured that out. And Klopp just said, well, it's simple. If they're going to press there, there's obviously a space in the wider areas because that's their wingers. So you saw Van Dijk do it, 6, 7, 8 times this game, very comfortably play that long. It's not a long ball. It's just a clear, smart pass into the open space, into Salah, Mane, Trent, even a few times. And it beat them every single time. And that's where even one of the goals the second goal that we scored was Salah rolls in, Firmino with his super intelligence realises there'll be a space there, stays out wide, gets that long pass into that wide area. Then next thing you know, Trent's whipped it in and goal. Robertson.
He redeemed himself. Actually, it's a good way to talk. I mean, that's how we got our second goal, and the whole second half was Van Dijk doing sort of the same thing on repeat and beating their press. But I think for the goal, they as Pete has a sip of his fine scotch, the goal they scored was pretty much our own to our own making. I mean, Arsenal have scored 3 out of the last 4 goals against us have been our own mistakes. 2 at the Emirates late last season when we were going for the 100 points record, or 101 points record rather, and today. So, James, do you think that, as Pete sort of alludes to, that we've sort of like forgotten our touch on defending, or is this just some bogey abnormality against Arsenal?
I don't think it's got anything to do with Arsenal in particular. I just think, as Peter said, we've obviously come up against them quite a few times in recent games now, so it's just these things will happen. I think given the situation that's going on, everything like that, you don't have the roar of the Anfield crowd. I think that does have an influence on the game. I think it has an influence on our team. I think it has an influence on the opposition. I think it's just a moment in time more than anything else. I think what we need to take away from it, though, is how we respond to mistakes when they happen. If they've taken this back to pre-Jurgen Klopp eras, or maybe even at the start of the Jurgen Klopp era, just as he was first coming in, if a mistake like that happens and we go 1-0 down, the heads go down, and it's more of an uphill battle than what it ever used to be. Nowadays, though, we go 1-0 down, we think, oh, that's all right, no worries, we've still got 70 minutes on the clock, happy days, I'll put my feet up and wait for the next one to come along. So, and that's exactly what happened. I don't think it's a sign of Arsenal doing anything special in particular. I think Arsenal, with Mikel Arteta coming in, starting to look like a different side than what they have been recently, but it's still very early days for them, and they're probably in a very transitional phase more than anything, when they're trying to find who their best players are and who's more filling the gaps at the moment. So I think I don't think it's got anything special to do with Arsenal at this time, despite what they might want to tell you.
Well, they got through a couple of times through our defence. We're playing, as we do, a very high line, and they got through once or twice. Once it was counted as an offside against Lacazette, but Alisson made the save anyways, and then probably about a minute and a half later, the same thing happens, and Alisson actually has to pull off a save, and what Lacazette is trying to do, I have no idea. But Peter, tell us, is this something that concerns you, where we play a high line and then there are runs being made in between, where maybe defensive mids aren't keeping track? It might not be their job, but this is where your expertise comes into play. Or is this something that Arsenal just found out in us when we play a high line, that they found an opening they could exploit?
No, I think Klopp said it in the post game presser where he goes, "Look, these are some things that just happen when you play a high line." I think the idea was to suffocate them completely and be on top of them, and clearly we did that very, very well because when they were trying to play out and be, this whole revolutionised Arsenal under Arteta, and it almost looked like, when you're first grade university under 20s. And like your theme is you're playing out, we have to practice on our press. That's exactly what it looked like. It looked like a training match. And I think that was because we were so high up and we literally squeezed the life out of them. And you know what? As Klopp said, sometimes you just got to concede that one or two balls have to go in behind. It's how we deal with them. And which is why you've got, the world's best goalkeeper, which is why, for example, in my opinion, Joe Gomez did start because he is super quick. And I believe I read earlier that it was actually Aubameyang's 5th game in a row against Liverpool with a registered shot on target. So when you look at these kind of stats, it's kind of like, well, yeah, okay, the whole line does hurt, but you rather concede 1 or 2 chances, but knowing that we're going to get the ball, 8 out of 10 times, and with our kind of quality, we do hurt teams.
No, it's fair to say that you could see Aubameyang pretty much not doing anything until the last minute of the game, and it's nice to see him have a rest at Anfield, so Arsenal can kick on against us in a few days' time. I saw that online. I just had to throw it in there. But I mean, with ourselves, whilst their key players were not really doing much, our key players were literally everywhere. Mane was on fire. Salah had great moments. Bobby's doing what Bobby does. Wijnaldum in the middle. Fabinho tracking back, Keita trying to make some runs in between as well, and even our defensive guys, once we conceded, our heads went up and we got angry. It's almost like you're making us turn into the Hulk. You don't want us angry, because when we get angry, we start to play, and we didn't deserve to go down, so we went, we equalised, then we went 2-1 and then 3-1 at the end. But Mane, during our chat, I think I saw a lot of comments on, this guy's not from this world, he's from Mars or some far distant planet. Who wants to take on Mane? Because he was absolutely fantastic in this match.
Yeah, look, I spoke about Mane last week after the Chelsea game, and I'm saying the exact same thing again. This guy is out of this world. There's that video from Breadmen TV, where the boy says, he's one of the best players in the world, and they laugh at him. This is from a few seasons ago. The boy is just absolutely fantastic. He has no fear who he is playing against. He makes defences crumble every time he's around. His performance tonight and his performance in the last year or two, he's just an absolute asset to this team. Of course, we've always spoken about Mo Salah since he's come into this side. He was that one season wonder that seems to always score 20 plus goals a season. But really, Mane's he's just an absolute wonder in this side. Everyone obviously brings something to the table, but right now it's about Sadio Mane for me.
Pete, what's your take? What do you reckon of our number 10?
I thought today he was a man possessed. I don't think I've ever seen Mane so aggressive in such a long time, and not just aggressive with the ball, but even the way he was. Okay, the elbow that was, to be fair, it was just a normal kind of shove the player away kind of elbow that maybe he mistimed, which is why it looked a lot higher than everyone wants to make it a big deal. But you saw Mane come out and almost took the last couple of matches personal. It's like he had something to prove that, someone stole his bike and he had to get it back kind of thing. The way he was playing, I don't know, I've never seen Mane play so almost angry. I think you said the Hulk earlier, but he literally played like he was pissed off, and it was like Arsenal offended his mother or something. I don't know what it was, but he really took that match personal, and you can see the way he performed. It was direct, it was with purpose. He defended, he assisted, passes, shots, take-ons. He was doing it all on his own almost at one stage, and he was such a joy to watch this morning.
No, I think Mane really came out of his own in this match, and we can't forget Mo Salah as well. The guy loves playing against Arsenal, especially against David Luiz, and whilst Luiz maybe didn't do anything to disgrace himself in this match, still, I think there's always in the back of your mind, you're thinking this guy's done me that many times before, he's gone past me, I've given away penalties, I need to really take care. And they've probably put Tierney on him because Tierney for Arsenal was playing that left centre-back slash left in a centre-back pairing and then in the back three when they'd go out and attack. And he sort of got past him for that for the equaliser. So I think Salah as well, even though I maybe had a bit of a fault with him in the second half when he probably tried to do too much, when he took the ball off Jota's feet when it was just about ready to line one up and ping it against towards Leno rather. I think Salah as well, when he's on, he's on. I don't know if it's him trying to score goals to keep up with Mane as they have the little competition, but when he doesn't score, he seems to be trying too much. Do you think that plays into how Salah plays for us when he hasn't scored?
Jamie, you can take this.
Yeah. I think with Mo Salah, he's definitely had a bit of a patch where he's definitely looked like that, where if things haven't gone right one way or whether he's not been able to get the right touch properly, he's trying almost too hard at times. The Mo Salah that I'm seeing at the moment is a lot different. I feel like he's becoming a lot more of a bringing people into the game with himself. It's not just about him trying to beat 2-3 players. It's actually about how do I find the right pass? How do I make the space for the right player? How do I bring more people in? And I think we saw that tonight. I think some of the play that he was doing, especially in the first half, after we had gone 1-0 down, you can really start to see that change in his game, which is absolutely fantastic to see. Naturally, when Mo Salah's playing, he's already got 3 defenders around him. And he's just a natural target like that. And that's absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with that because Mo Salah can take himself away from 3 players and create opportunity. And he's really starting to show that more in his game. There is still moments, of course, like you mentioned with the Jota, I don't want to say the incident, but the potential Jota chance at the end where he took it off him. And yeah, I understand that he's a striker. He wants to score goals. That's what you do. But no, I can definitely see that there has been a shift in how he performs and how he plays in this side. And it's really starting, I think, as the season goes on, if it's consistent, we'll really start to see more of the benefit of that.
I think with Salah, I've also noticed with Salah these days, he's actually playing quite deeper. The way where he receives the ball compared to where he normally would receive the ball, it's a little bit deeper now. So all of a sudden now you're kind of thinking, if you're a defender, do you follow one of the most lethal strikers in the world? Do you follow this person and pull yourself out of position, and all of a sudden it's Firmino, it's Trent, it's somebody else, occupying the space that you've left? Or do you leave him hoping that someone else picks him up and they don't? So it's what Salah's doing these days, I think, is actually quite intelligent, whether it's him doing it in-game or it's actually been spoken with the staff. But I think what Salah's doing, I think, as you were saying, James, is he's actually trying to evolve his game to get himself a bit more on the ball. And I just read something now as we're speaking. Mohamed Salah has touched the ball in the opposition box more times, which is 35, than any other player this season in the Premier League. So and that's Squawker facts. So if that's the case, then clearly he's doing something that he hasn't done yet.
No, I take your point. I think against Chelsea, where I first thought it was very deep, and I think that could be something where Klopp said, look, players are always going to be after you. They're going to be looking at you. So if you drop deep, like Pete just said, are they going to follow him? Are they going to stick by him? Are they still going to put 2 on Salah, to sort of stop him? But then that lets Trent run around him, or Firmino run into that area and things like that. So it could be something Klopp's looked at and said, well, instead of having you all the way up front, let's bring you deep a little bit. Mane's on the other side. Firmino can still operate that central area, and that, like I said, we love playing from our wing backs, from our wing position, and if that lets Trent, open up the space and have a chance to whip a shot in and have Mane running in, it could be something that could work. I mean, we'll see what happens in that instance there, but as we saw, the second goal came from a Trent cross, and Robertson redeemed himself, as we said earlier on, and then that second half was basically all us. The only time I can remember Arsenal doing anything was when Lacazette had the chance and Alisson saved, and then in pretty much the last kick of the game when Aubameyang finally had a touch and sort of went to pass it to his players, and his players sort of gave up because they thought he's going to go himself. I mean, maybe Aubameyang at that moment was shy of confidence. Maybe he thought he didn't want to take the chance on if he misses, if he scores, it'd be a late consolation. But at the end of the day, we won 3-1. The midfield, I want to mention Wijnaldum. there's always this Wijnaldum question, like, what does he do? If you cannot see what Wijnaldum does off the ball rather than on the ball, and granted he had a few shots on target, he ventured up forward, he should have done better with the chance that he had, that the one shot he had and went straight into Leno's hands. But the guy does so much work when Fabinho advances, when Keita advances, he's there shielding. I mean, Pete, you've spoken about Wijnaldum plenty of times. I mean, what else is there to say about this bloke other than he is boss at what he does, even when you don't see it?
So I'll say, people call him the ghost because, you don't see whatever it is. I'll say I have to agree with him, but in a way that's positive. Like, you actually don't see the way he is on the field in terms of the way he helps us and protects us, because when Robert and Trent do what they do, which is, on a different kind of, talk about planets, they're on a different planet as fullbacks. It's always it's either Hendo or Genie that actually does the dirty work that gets unrecognised. That, like, you see him kind of pick up the ball in this deeper kind of like, whether it's left or right side pocket, and you kind of go, oh, what's he doing there with the ball? He's just passing it sideways. Well, you actually haven't realised that he's just picked up a loose ball that people were trying to counter in a place or this area that's left behind by Robert or Trent. And not just that, he's very good at connecting. Yeah, okay, he doesn't get the assists I think he should be getting, and he doesn't threaten the goal enough, and I do agree with that. But if you see the way he connects the back four and the midfield, and every now and then the midfield to the front three, it's priceless. And we're lucky that we've got Thiago, because Thiago's almost a better version of what he does with that. But at the same time, I think it's only Firmino who's played more minutes than Wijnaldum under Klopp, and there's a reason why.
He's our go-to guy. I mean, James, what else can be said about Wijnaldum other than the guy is boss, whether he plays a 6, whether he tries to play as more of an advanced 6 in an 8, shall we say, but the guy's always doing something, and we can't forget the heroics he's done for us as well. He's sort of like the unsung hero, and which is probably why we want to keep him on, even though we've got Thiago in the squad now.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's unfortunate to say it, but I think Wijnaldum will be one of those players who'll be fondly remembered once he's left the club, compared to what he should be recognised for while he's at the club today. It is the work that he does in midfield. He's got so many tools in his bag, and they make such a difference in Klopp's system. My only criticism of Wijnaldum is his shooting ability and his ability to actually finish. There's been so many times where he's had the opportunity to put the ball in the back of the net, and it's usually quite tame shots, but at the same time, going back to what Peter says, it's bang on the money. It's the work that he does that most people don't see. That's what makes the difference. We have the players out wide, we have the players up top who people recognise. It's the assists, it's the goals. That's what everyone's looking for. They're not looking for the easy stuff, or the stuff that's 3 or 4 passes behind all that. But it has to start somewhere, or it has to be recycled from somewhere. It has to start somewhere. People don't notice that, and that's the stuff we have to remember. But like I say, I think we recognise it. We talk about it quite a lot, actually, and it's the same for players like Bobby Firmino and the work that he does when he's not putting the ball in the back of the net. That's another topic that can go on forever. I know that for a fact, but yeah. I was trying my best to hold back. I know it's his birthday. I'm trying to be nice. It's like I say, we recognise it, we know about it, we talk about it all the time. But I think, especially for the keyboard warriors out there who always question what he does, it won't be until the boy hangs up his boots or he moves on that people will say, actually, you remember when Gini Wijnaldum used to do this in the midfield and used to give the opportunity to these other players to go and do their thing. He's criminally undervalued.
I 100% agree. And another person who sort of like does the job that he's meant to do is Fabinho. Again today, 3 tackles, 3 interceptions. Robertson had 4 clearances. Van Dijk had 3 clearances, 1 interception. Trent had an interception and a clearance. And when you see, like, it's good that he does that, but when you compare it to Arsenal, where Luiz had 7 clearances, Holding had 8 clearances, Tierney had 10 clearances, Bellerin had 4 clearances, like, it just goes to show how much stress our 11, doesn't matter whether the starting 11 or the 11 that finished the game on the pitch, goes to show how much stress they put the opposition under. And that leads me to go on to Diogo Jota, who came on in the 79th minute. Milner came on, I think, a minute before. hand. So Keita came off, Milner came on, and then Mane came off, and Jota came on, and we're all scratching our heads. But obviously, maybe the yellow card was probably playing on Klopp's mind. And Diogo Jota came on, and I mean, we saw 10 minutes of him, scores a goal, but that guy did not look out of place at all.
Could have had a hat-trick.
Yeah, easily.
Mate, I thought as soon as he came on, I just thought, okay, finally get to see, because I didn't get to see him in the Carling Cup match, or whatever the hell it's called, Carabao Cup match, the other day. I didn't watch a lot of it, but I got to see good 10, 15 minutes with injury time of him, and as Pete just said, could have had a hat-trick, but seamless, very, very seamless. You would not know that this was his first Premier League match for Liverpool. What do you boys think?
Yeah, well, yeah, I won't talk too much about it because, other than the great finish, there's not too much to talk about other than he actually looked like he picked up the ball in the same positions Mane does. So that's one thing I noticed more than anything. He was kind of like, sometimes when you replace a player and someone else comes on and you're kind of used to that player being there when the ball is played or whatever it is. He was picking up the ball in the areas where Mane picks up the ball every time. Like he was there in that nice little pocket there in between the two areas, and he was trying to dribble and he was trying to pass. He was actually not a straight swap because Mane's Mane, but it was an easy swap to digest. Because sometimes, and I'm not going to bash a player or whatever, but you take off Salah and you bring on Origi, you can see the drop completely. Whereas Jota, yeah, okay, it was 15 minutes, but you can tell within that 15 minutes there's a player there, and we can't wait to see more of him.
100%, yeah. James, what was your take? Anything you can take away apart from how? For me, when I just saw him, I just thought, okay, this guy could have started the game and maybe not looked, out of place.
Yeah. I think coming on at the end of the game, while Arsenal's legs are probably at the end of their tether, being harassed for so long by the front three, I think it's a good time to bring a player on to really try and get himself used to, I guess, the pace that we want to play at and the expectation that we have when it comes to playing against any side. He came on and he did the right thing. He was in the right spots. He was making the right runs. He was making the right moves. He was getting himself in a good positions, like we said. He could have easily got a hat trick, on any other day, but he still managed to take a goal and put it away really well. And I think it's what this means longer term for the club that we needed to look at. Having a look at how long the season's going to be, the competitions that we'll be involved in. We need a player who's going to be similar to the front three to come in and keep up that intensity when time's running out, when legs are getting tired. That's what we need. And if that's just a glimpse of what we should expect, then I think we're going to be in a really good place, especially with players like Taki coming in as well.
Oh, speaking of Minamino, I want to hear Peter. How good was Minamino when he came on?
Look, those 2.5 minutes, I didn't see a mistake, to be honest with you. I didn't
It's frustrating, isn't it? It is so frustrating having Minamino boss it in the EFL Cup, and granted it's against less opposition, but you got to get the minutes into your legs to get your confidence up. And I think Minamino's he needs a starting berth, or at least a solid 25-30 minutes to actually get going in the Premier League. I mean, there's a player in there just waiting to do his thing.
I think we'll see him on Friday morning here in Australia. I think we'll see him feature in the Caravan Cup, or whatever they call it. They will. He'll be there. I think I think he'll be vital in the next few games that do come. There's a couple of hard back-to-back games coming up, and I think we've all seen the quality of Taki. So I do think that I do think he will start this week against Arsenal as well.
I think we'll get to see him. James, any reservations on Minamino maybe getting more minutes, or you think he's due for a solid game? Not in the Carabao Cup or the Caravan Cup, as Peter calls it, but in the Premier League itself.
Yeah, no, I think early doors it's going to be the Carabao Cup. We'll see him making his appearances. I think as the season goes on and then the games start to pile up, then that's when he'll really start to be utilised by Klopp. Same with Jota as well, and maybe Origi. Who knows at this stage what's really going on at the moment with these players, but that's okay. I think it's like what we usually see with players coming in. There's always that sort of, we start off the season, we always focused on our strongest 11 and then using our strongest rotation players. I think this season we will see a bit more of that, and then as the season progresses you'll probably start to see him starting more games as he builds his confidence up and gets used to playing the side more as well.
Well, as it was, 3-1 at Anfield against a resurgent or a revived Arsenal, if you will. Arteta's lost his stranglehold on Liverpool for the short while that he had it. The return fixture at the Emirates, maybe a different story. We'll see what happens as the season progresses. A lot of people, maybe jokingly, already saying that's it, Liverpool have won the league since United are a bit, how's it going? Arsenal have already lost the game. Tottenham are a bit so-so. City got pumped 5-2, so who knows what's going to happen. But we are playing Arsenal again in a few days' time at Anfield in the Carabao Cup, or the EFL Cup, whatever we want to call it these days. And as Peter said, some big matches. We got Aston Villa a few days after that, away, and then we're away to the local rivals, Everton, who are looking decent, but I still fancy us to win. Before we wrap things up for this one here, man of the match, we know Mane was fantastic, arguably probably everyone's man of the match, but Pete, anything different from you?
Not different, but I think there's two players that need to get a mention that I think haven't got enough credit for their performance, and one being Joey Gomez. I think his partnership with Van Dijk this morning was clearly back to its best. I think they were both phenomenal. I mean, we don't compliment Van Dijk anymore because we know how good he is, but between the two of them today, I think they were both sensational in the win. I also think Fabinho was world class, and the reason why he's the best DM in the world, in my opinion, was proven today. Other than Mane, those names I think we need to mention. But I think what baffles me, and sorry James, I'll be quick because it says here we've got 6 minutes left, but I can't handle this Arsenal thing where they see today's match and they go, "Oh, we're just really proud that we tried." Can you imagine? Can you imagine that? Like now, your post press. Okay, Arteta, to be fair to him, was all class, praising Liverpool, praising the way we played, and he was. To be fair to him, man, that's one of the best post game interviews I've seen. And then it's like, we're just proud that we tried. Like, what do you want to get a participation award for it? Do you want to trade in for that too?
Oh man, some of the fans. Some of the fans, it's a refereeing again. Oh, they're cheating. Should have been sent off. Blah blah blah. It's the same old story, man.
Should we create a trophy for them? The "We Tried" trophy.
Oh, why not? It can be between themselves. It can be between themselves and Tottenham. They can battle out for the pressure trophy. Put the pressure on.
Oh my god, that stuff just makes me sick. I can't. Where's your? Oh no. Anyway, sorry, James. Keep going.
I know. You're absolutely spot on, Matt. For me, I think for all the worry and fear that was getting built up before the match, I think Alisson, even though he didn't really have too much to do, I think when he's called upon, he shows his quality, and I think he shows why he is the best goalkeeper in the world. I don't think there's any question about that. Lacazette had, I know one of them was offside, but when you've got a one-on-one opportunity with a goalkeeper, you have to take your chances, and Alisson stood up to the plate and just showed why he's such a quality goalkeeper. Of course, I completely agree about Joe Gomez and Fabinho as well. And Mane obviously had a stormer and was by far man of the match. But Alisson, even when he hasn't got much to do, when he spends half the game reading the newspaper, he still steps up and shows how quality he is.
No, it's fair play. I mean, we've got a boss starting 11. We've got a boss bench as well. When Milner can come on, Jota can score a goal, Minamino just to wrap things up, and don't even have to go to the likes of Curtis Jones, which I thought maybe we might have seen, but guaranteed we'll see me in a couple of days' time with a much changed Arsenal. And I mean, all we can say is everyone's praising us at the moment for the way we played, the way we performed, and a lot of people are saying that if Liverpool play like that for the remaining 35 games, whatever the hell we've got of the Premier League left, granted there are no more catastrophes around the world, touch wood, then we will absolutely dominate and go back to back. But it's yet to be seen. I'm not saying it just now, but based on what other people are saying, pundits the like, we are looking the goods. Any final words from yourselves, Peter, before we say goodbye?
No, let's just batter them again on Friday, and hopefully Bellerin sorts himself out because he looks like a moron.
James?
Nah, rinse and repeat. Same again, please. Thank you very much.
Same again. With the much change to Liverpool squad, doesn't matter. We are taking on Arsenal FC at Anfield Friday morning in the Carabao Energy Drink Champions of England something trophy.
The We Tried Cup.
The We Tried Cup. Fair enough. We're going to wrap things up. Thank you very much for joining us for this post Arsenal victory podcast. Myself, Nick, Peter the Coach Kafinas, and our very own Aussie Robbo, James, in Melbourne. Hopefully you're safe in Victoria and all is well.
Keeping safe, that's for sure.
Fantastic. Until next time, don't forget we've got plenty more pods coming out this week on the LFC Couch. A lot of craziness happening. Make sure you keep your tabs. Subscribe to the podcast. Check us out, Instagram, LFC Couch, Twitter, LFC, or at LFC Couch, and Facebook, LFC Couch as well. That's it from myself. And on behalf of the gents and the rest of the team, thank you very much. Up the Reds, and on to Arsenal again at home.
Demanded that he should score for Liverpool. Salah to settle it. It's from the top. Vicious cross, Mane. Alexander-Arnold. It's running.
From doubted to believer.